After 6 wins, 6 losses and a draw against regional teams, the Wallabies arrived in the windy Welsh seaside resort of Porthcawl to prepare for their first Test match. The English press reported that no touring side had ever suffered so many injuries and lost so many matches this early in a tour. Their captain had been sidelined with a skin infection, their reserve hooker sent home. Wales were reigning Five Nations champions, playing in their home cathedral of rugby. In 58 years, no Wallaby side had ever beaten Wales. The 5th Wallabies were given no chance. The Australian side was captained by Ken Catchpole. Mick Purcell had his Test debut in the back row and Ross Teitzel in the second row. The informed Jim Miller was brought into the front row in place of Thornett. Wales was captained by the experienced Alan Pask.
Well, Cardiff Arms Park, it was like a Catholic going to the Basilica. The wonderful old ground held about 45,000, and all the way walking to the run-on, Wales was singing their national anthem, or in fact waltzing Matilda.
There weren't seats there that you would go into an enclosure and stand, so people would get to the ground early in order to get a good position, and because they were there so early, hour and a half before the kick-off, singing was a way of whiling away the time, and by and large they were hymns. I don't think that you'd hear Delilah in the stadiums in those days. They were the hymns that people sang in chapels.
The game of rugby in Wales is like a religion. It is their game. And if you play it at the top level, they recognise you for what you are, in a top sportsman. And they're very knowledgeable. You talk to women at a social function, and they would know that, if Jim Lennon kicked with his left foot, if we kept them in that left-hand corner, we couldn't gain any mileage from his kicks because he's kicking out with his left foot. And they would be telling you that. There's some things I hadn't thought of that.
They all came to support you, and all they wanted to see was good rugby. They weren't really worried whether their team won or their team didn't win. Except when we played Llanelli. We played Llanelli and we lost the game, and the referee gave a couple of penalties, was right in front for the Llanelli team, which were very dubious. And afterwards they asked him, what was the problem? And he said, I have to live here.
Now, this match has enveloped quite a cloud of controversy for the Australians because their captain, John Thornett, dropped himself from this match because he isn't playing well enough. The Australian managers criticised Welsh referees and has said that Australia must win this match this afternoon to make any sort of sense out of the remainder of the tour.
We all knew that this was our peak moment, really, because no one had beaten Wales. I still cry when I hear the hymns.
Slaggy Miller saying to me after that Welsh Test match, when that singing would start, you could feel your opposing prop forward. He probably seemed to gain about half a stone in weight and 2 inches in height.
It's strange walking down the tunnel out in the pitch. I felt very proud. I mean, singing the national anthem on the field is something very, very special. You just get, even now, I still get tingles when you watch a game now, and because the memory flows back to actually being on the field and that happening. So it's amazing when people haven't done it. They think everybody runs on the field and is confident and brutish and stuff. Most of the guys are very much the same. I remember the great Arthur Boots, and vomiting in the dressing room before he'd go out. As tough and as good as Arthur was, he'd be literally vomiting in the dressing room with nerves.
John Brass then playing in his second international, age 20. Kicks off for the Wallabies into the wind towards the river. Trask is under it.
Rugby was a different game in the 1960s. A try was worth 3 points. A scrum could be over in a flash. Wingers threw the ball into lineouts where there was no lifting allowed.
Barry John touching it for the first time and finding the outside by Aaron Lewis. The men outside in and the cover is coming across. Oh, and it was knocked on by John Dawes. And the whistle is gone.
Australia had already lost to Welsh sides at Pontypool, Swansea and Cardiff, and the men in scarlet were confident of victory.
Well, we were. From the very beginning, we were playing Australia because Australia had never won. The history was on our side, and it was a good team. So there was a sense of confidence that if Cardiff could do it as a club, then the national team would do it. So there was that confidence by all means, yes there was. 15
minutes in, Wales opened the scoring with a 3-point try.
Hayden Morgan breaking away. It's Hayden Morgan. He scored. Hayden Morgan has scored for Wales.
But Australia soon levelled the score and Wales had a match on their hands.
The referee has awarded the scrummage to the attacking side, so it's Catchpole to put it in. Hawthorne going to try a drop at goal. It looks a very good one. I believe he's got it. Yes, he has. Oh, it's a beauty.
Jim Lenihan added to the tally with a penalty kick, and the tourists were in front.
That's straight between the two, and it's 3 points to Australia, and they lead Wales by 6 points to 3.
The Welsh responded in kind, and the crowd was in for a thriller.
That's good enough.
Cardiff Arms Park ground had a very firm surface, and I think it helped us play an Australian style of football where we could actually move the ball quickly.
And there was such speed in that team, beginning with Lenihan at full-back.
The full-back's in the line, and he couldn't quite get it out of Cardi.
He was an attacking full-back. He was willing to join the line and run. And I think he's probably about the first to come along to have those qualities of running and handling, whereas in the past the fullback was certainly seen as the last line of defence. Catch the ball and put it away. And you had also then Cardi, Brass, Marks, Boyce. They were a lovely set of three-quarter line, I think.
Hawthorne letting it out to Brass, to Marks. Little kick for Boyce. Barry John covering very well from out half.
Well, the first try, Jimmy Lenihan normally came inside me. Jimmy came outside me. I got like one of the quickest passes away to him.
As Stuart Boyce throwing it in for Australia. Purcell, some good work at the line out. Here's quick transfer down the line. And it's out to Lenihan. Can he run the point? He's got it, he's there. Yes. It's a try for Australia. Who would have believed it? Wales so strongly favoured to win this match, and the Australians really rising magnificently to the challenge and to the occasion today.
Well, I'm sitting in the studio overlooking the Cardiff ground, and with me is Cliff Morgan, the former Welsh captain and former captain of British Lions. Cliff, these Australians have really turned out to be something today.
This has been one of the best displays by a touring team of open rugby and effective rugby that I've seen here for many years.
It was said that the Australian morale was really very low indeed, very poor. But in fact, they seem to have reached this game in the right mental frame, don't they?
At the peak. The manager did say at Pontypool on Tuesday night that he felt that his players, although they'd lost so many matches, had only come to this country to play one match, and that was to beat Wales at Cardiff Arms Park. And the way they're playing it, and they're going to play with the wind second half, with the sun in the Welsh eyes, I think we might have a spot of fireworks to those towering kicks of Jim Lenihan's and Hawthorne.